Aloha, everybody. Welcome to the Aloha Friday with the Sandwich Island Social Network video podcast. How's it? The show today is brought to you by Sandwich Island Social Network, a 501c3 nonprofit organization serving Hawaiians and Hawaiians at heart away from their island's home. Lower right hand side of your screen, you'll see sandislands.org. That's where you can find out all about the things that Sandwich Islands Social Network is doing, all the mischief that we're up to. And one of the things we love doing every Friday is the Aloha Friday video podcast. And we'll be back in just a second with a wonderful guest. The theme music for our show is brought to you by our great friend of ours in the upper left-hand corner of your screen. You will see music by Brittany Paiva. She's a Big Island girl from Hilo, now living on Oahu, such a talented ukulele artist. Please check her out on YouTube. You can download any of her music on any of the platforms you use to download music. Look for her, Brittany Paiva, an awesome ukulele player. And mahalo, Brittany, for letting us use your music on the Aloha Friday show. Hey, Kamaka Brown right here. What's up, everybody? Hope you're having a great Aloha Friday. So many wonderful things happening all around us. And one of the things we're delighted to be a part of is the Aloha Friday show. We have as our guest someone that I was looking forward to. I've seen this name. My goodness. We had coffee cups. We had calendars. We had a children's book for Mike Keiki. Mango here. Oh my goodness! And now we have an opportunity to meet the one and only Diana Hansen-Young. What's up, Diana? Aloha.
Well, aloha to you, and thank you for having me.
Oh my goodness! Thank you for coming to our little paina over here, our little party, and. You know, this is, I have to tell you, this is all Menehune driven, okay? Because they're in the trees in the back of me, okay? The Menehunes are up in the trees and they're watching. And they have little conch shells, and I call it the porgy conch shells that they do blow. So to welcome our guests, the Menehunes want to welcome you with their porgy conch shell. There's the first one, and that's the welcome. And the second one, there's also a second one. There you go. The two of them are up there and they welcome you. Now you officially have been welcomed, Diana. So there.
You remind me of J. Akuhead Pupuli. Remember he used
Oh,
to get on his show? Yeah, all of a sudden I had a flashback of J. Akuhead and all the little things he did on his show.
you know, you and I are both a child of the 60s and 70s in
Yep.
Honolulu. You and I are contemporaries. We remember Lucky Luck on the
Yep.
radio, J. Akuhead Pupuli on the radio, and the heyday of kind of there was this transition from, you know, we were learning K-poi radio with rock and roll, and then the hippie movement kind of came over, you know, and you had all of this influx of music. And what a time to be running around Waikiki and being on the island, right?
Oh no, it was wonderful. It was just a real infusion of all kinds of strange and wonderful people with all kinds of interesting and different backgrounds. And it's such a small place. It was really small then. Not in terms of creativity or anything, but just in terms of everybody kind of knew each other. And
Yeah,
there's no high people and no low people. Everybody was just kind of there. And
yeah.
you could mix with anybody. Yeah, it was wonderful.
Exactly. And great places to go and eat. You know, after football games or after going to the beach, there was always these great places. I don't know. Did you have any favorite places you used to like to go as a teenager growing up on the islands?
Well, I always liked just good old local food, and especially poke, as you said.
Uh-huh.
And just the local food, and I really miss it here in on the main in DC. It's just something when I go back, I just eat nonstop local drive-ins and barbecue places and Foodland for the yummy fish and just whatever. So that's one thing I really miss. And you there is some good local food here, but it's few and far between, and it's almost there. I'm not saying it's not there, but it's just this far away.
It might be the water, it might be the salt in the air, it might be the ocean,
Something.
right?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
there's plate lunch and there's plate lunch,
Yep.
and something about getting a plate lunch and taking it down to the beach, and a little
Yep.
bit sand in the macaroni salad and
Yep.
a little bit salt on your lips from coming off the water, that just make everything. You can't duplicate that with a plate lunch here.
Right, right. A little bit of gravy and flies, few flies, and the sand. Right, exactly. Yeah, that's
So
always the best.
you're in Washington, D.C. You're
Yep.
back east, and you were saying that if you wanted to kind of get a taste of local food, you had to drive out of state to kind of get that, right?
You got to go down to Virginia because there's some local enclaves down there, and occasionally you might find there's a few gatherings sometimes around the area, and you can
Yeah.
drive and get sort of local food, and it'll all do in a pinch. Of course, I love to eat, so as you can see, but so it's all good. It's all good.
Ah, that's great. Some of our friends are dropping in. They want to say hello. Here's Kay Bennett. She's in the West Wing of the Holly. She's saying aloha. That's
Hello,
Auntie
Kate.
Kate.
How are you?
That's right over there. She's checking in over here. Let's see. We've also got, we've got Marty Burns. Marty Burns is saying aloha, everyone. Marty is a retired high school football coach, lives here in Southern
Oh,
California. Yeah. Um, who else we got here? Here is Abella. Abella says aloha ekamaka and Diana. Welcome, Abella.
thank you.
Bella is part of our Sandwich Islands social network family, a beautiful hula dancer as well. And
Oh,
she's also editor of our digital magazine, Malama. And welcome, Bella. Great. Let's see who else is here. Oh, Nancy Lewis. Aha. Nancy Lewis is jumping in here. You'll see a picture of a cat there.
a
And
cat.
before we went live, you were sharing a little bit. You've got a little menagerie in your backyard, do you, Diana?
Yeah, the strays seemed to find me. So when I moved here, there was a feral colony of about, I don't know, 28, 29 cats. And so they all sort of were living sort of in the area. And then I started, of course, feeding one and then two and then six and then 12. And then it got, where we could get them trapped. So we got them all trapped and all spayed and neutered. And so now the colony is sort of diminishing on its own. But
Aha.
they're nice to have, I have absolutely no mice. Never saw mice. Never saw a rat. Never saw anything of the nature, you
Hmm.
know. So nobody seems to mind. So yeah, I love cats. Love all animals.
Okay, you not only have cats back there, but you have some chickens as well?
I got three chickens, and I was telling you before that with the price of eggs, we don't have an egg problem here. We got three or four a day. They lay regularly, and they started laying back again about the mid-January. They got tricked when I guess there was a few extra sunny days, and they thought it was spring, and they started laying again. So the little four or five neighbors around me I always go put eggs in their mailbox because I can't eat four eggs a day. I would die of a cholesterol overdose. So we stuff their the little eggs in there, and they're wonderful chickens. They're Chiquita, Henny Penny, and Bombshell. So they just go around the backyard and get the worms and lay the eggs, and they don't mind the cats. And today I saw the first groundhog back. The groundhogs come out of hibernation in the backyard
Well,
about mid March, and they go into hibernation about mid October. So there was a first old mama groundhog on the back porch eating cat food, and no problem with the chickens, but the groundhog was pretty skinny because they've
oh,
been
right.
food for 6 months. So that she's
Yeah.
got a fat, but by the time they go to ground, they're just huge and round. They can
Oh
barely
my
sit down the pole. Yeah.
goodness. I wouldn't mind being your neighbor and opening up my mailbox and getting an egg there. I said, "Oh my goodness," you know.
Yeah, well, someone gave me some cartons with little four little egg spaces, so I've been, using them and just putting
Right.
them in people's boxes. So, yeah, they're green eggs. So they green eggs, no ham though.
you know, and of course, our good friend Nancy, she says, "You too, Diane. It sounds like my house."
Oh, yeah, you have one and you can't say no, and then people start saying, "Oh yeah, there's this lady. If you go put them at this corner, she's going to take care of them." So every once in a while, some new cat staggers up the driveway looking confused, and then quickly finds the free dinner. And yeah, the kitties coconut wireless. I see. Yeah, absolutely. Yep, yep.
TK says the kitties
So
have coconut wireless.
that's
Oh
right.
goodness.
Yep.
Ah, but we were talking before we went on. Oh, here's Thyra, our good friend Thyra. She
Hi.
says, "Aloha, Kamaka and Diana. Love your stories about your chickens." Ah, Thyra is an island girl living here in Southern California, and then we've got a good buddy of mine from San Diego, originally from Wailua on the North Shore, us North Shore boys. He goes, "How's it, Diana and Kamaka?" Uh, all of our friends, we all call him Boysan. Welcome, Boysan.
Boyson. Hello. How are you?
So we're both kind of as a teen. Now you're born in Bellingham, Washington, and 1966 you relocated to the islands as a teen, and your parents came along, and 2 years later you decided to run for the state constitutional convention. What was the driver behind that? I mean, you were in the islands for 2 years and you wanted to jump right in there.
Well, when I got here, I was just fascinated. Of course, in Bellingham, Washington, where I was born and raised, it's pretty grim. Everything is pretty gray. It rains all the time, and you may get few days of the year sunshine. So I went off for a year to BYU, which I hated, and then came back and said, "Dad, what am I going to do?" And he said, "Go to Hawaii." And so we just picked this out of thin air. He'd never been here, and I said, "Okay, I'll see ya." And I didn't even unpack my suitcase. I took a Greyhound to Seattle and caught a flight to Honolulu, and I got a room at Fernhurst YWCA up on Punahou. And I stayed there and I went looking for a job. And the first job I got was with Art Rutledge at the Teamsters Union.
Oh my
And I
goodness.
know, and he was supporting candidate Tom Gill. And so Tom Gill was running for lieutenant governor, and they needed someone to go out and ride the buses and sign up voters. Of course, there I was, 18 years old, had no clue what was happening at all. And so I said, "Oh, you want me to what sign people up?" And they said, "Sure, yeah, you get them to fill out this form, and then they sign it, and we'll sign the rest of it back here at the head Unity House, Art
Oh,
Rutledge headquarters." And
oh my
so I just
goodness.
dutifully got on those buses and rode them back and forth, and in the process, got to talking to a lot of people and realized all the many different layers and textures, there were, and got so fascinated with island politics that in '68 I ran for the Constitutional Convention and got elected. So that was sort of jumping in with two front feet. Art Rutledge and his, I think, son Tony is probably still around. I have no clue,
Oh,
but those were the days. Those were the
yeah.
days.
Those were the
Yep,
days, my friend.
that's right.
And then you went on to run for the Hawaii State House of Representatives. You became the youngest official ever to hold that title at age 20. Oh
Yeah,
my goodness.
yeah.
Amazing.
They were doing the new Capitol then, and I think we ended up. Oh, maybe that was the Constitution. Some of the sessions were at McKinley High School, I think, and then we got kicked out of there because the school was starting or something. And then I remember ending up. They said speech on my 21st birthday, and so I remember speaking in the throne room. We had assembled in the throne room at Iolani Palace, and of course, being so young, you don't know the significance of all of this stuff until years later. You look back and you go, "Holy moly, those were the days." And then you realize
Oh,
you lived through the whole thing of Governor Burns and Tom Gill and all of
wow.
the island politics and so it was really an interesting time. It was a fun time.
Yeah. Here's Laurie. Laurie. Aloha, Laurie. Welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, Lori.
Uh, Laurie makes some killer lilikoi butter. Oh,
Oh,
Ooh, ooh. And she does different flavors, and she does. She's a vendor at a lot of our. And summertime is coming, so she's gearing up. So welcome, welcome, Laurie. Good to have you on board. Here's Michael Anthony Smith. What's up, Michael? Aloha. I grew up in Ever Beach, but I
oh,
live in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. I miss
you're not far,
Hawaii.
Michael. Yeah.
You
Huh.
guys. Hey, Michael, you want some eggs? You can go over to the. You can go over
Go
to.
over.
Come over
Come
to
help
the.
yourself. Right.
Take a couple cats with you.
You don't bring the cats. I'll give you a couple cats with your eggs.
Here's Boyson. He's saying, I love your artwork, Diana. I remember all those names. Akuhead Pupuli, Art Rutledge,
Yep.
Tom Gill. Yes.
Yep.
We're all of that same era. Boyson, you and
Yep.
I, Diana, on the islands, and those names are very uh, they do trigger all these memories of things we haven't thought about for a long time. So so much to bring those back. Um, you were living in Kahalu'u. You had a farm. There was a farm out there, and that's on the I guess it's on what we'd say the east side, southeast side of the island, or the northeast side of the island, if you will. Um, how was that? Tell us about the farm and the stuff that went on. Moving from
Once
Bellevue.
again, animals, animals, animals. I lived in Kailua and Waimanalo for many years, and then got a little place out in Kahaluu, and it's right at the end of the Kahili Highway by the hygienic store. You drive up the mountains and back of the, you're driving down and you turn left and you go way up in the mountains up there. So it was a wonderful little place, couple acres, and I built a little house, and we had all kind of, papaya trees and it was hard. We tried to keep chickens, but there was so many. I don't know what was in the woods, but they they never
Mongoose.
survived. Yeah, I think so. They were eating a lot of the chickens, or the chickens were getting out. And we had some horses and we had some peacocks. And people would bring by. I write these children's stories, Mango Hill, for my daughters, and about the animals that lived with us on the farm. And they would come by and lower animals that they didn't want over the gate in carriers. So a mongoose came over the gate, Joey, who every time the refrigerator door opened to the kitchen, wherever he was, all of a sudden there'd be this streak of bullet of fur going past me into the refrigerator, launched himself in. And if I would pull him out, he started to bite me.
Oh,
So, Joey kind of ended up getting repatriated to the woods, which he just loved. But I could not have a biting mongoose in the kitchen. That was one animal too far.
I
So yeah, we had horses and cats and dogs and peacocks, and someone gifted my daughter some peacocks, and someone broke in and turned them loose for
oh,
whatever reason. I don't know why, and they escaped and now I think most of the peacocks out in that area descended from these gifted. Someone raised peacocks and they didn't want them, so they just,
ah,
and then
yeah,
someone else didn't think they should be captive, so they
uh-huh.
broke in and set them free, and so there they are. I think all over Kahaluu is the Hansen-Young peacocks.
The Hansen-Young
I don't know,
peacocks. Here's
the
C
Hansen-Young
Honda.
peacocks, right?
He says,
Pardon?
oh, here's C Honda saying, Aloha, Diana. So
Oh,
pleased
hi.
to see you. Yeah, welcome. Love to hear the stories about the farm. Here's a buddy of mine. Uh-oh. Here's a buddy of mine. We both went to Roosevelt High School together. We were classmates together. A good buddy of mine lives here in Southern California. Keone Young. He is an actor, voiceover actor, does many, many
That is
things.
my relative. Gordon Young is his cousin. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Yeah.
um,
Peony, you were in New York recently and we couldn't see you for some reason, but the next time you're back, give me a call and let's get together. I'll come up to
uh-oh.
New York. I have one daughter in New York City and Brooklyn, and the other daughter here in DC. Sure.
We're bringing the Ohana together right here on the Aloha
Yep.
Friday show.
Yep. That's the Young part. The Young. Gordon
Yeah,
Young is his. Yeah.
yeah. And for our friends, many productions, you can check out Keone Young. One of my favorite roles, he was on this TV show on HBO called Deadwood, and a iconic role that he played, plus many, many others. Welcome to the show, Keone. Good to have you, brother. Good to see you. He and I go back to those days of Roosevelt, back in the slopes of Papakulea. OMG. He says, I'm going to be in Brooklyn in June. Okay.
Okay.
There you go.
Good. Then together. Absolutely. I will be in Brooklyn too, on and off all June, back and forth, because I've got the two daughters and I go back and forth a lot when school is out. I do
Sweet.
babysitting.
Of course, of course.
Right.
Okay, so
Right.
so you mentioned children's books while you were on the farm, and I want to just share this here. Mango Hill Books. This was a series of books that were just wonderful. I remember them very well. Um, and Tickle Bugs and Mango Hill. How did that all start with writing books for children, Diana?
It was stories I told my two girls, Heidi and Tekla, and so there were about 10 of them all in total, and I'm sort of trying to reprint them. They're all out of print. I'm trying to get them printed. Uh, a, 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 a difficult process, but I'm trying to get them reprinted onto KDP and so we can share them again. But they're just stories of all the animals in a hibiscus bunny, halal mouse, the Ohana cats, and then there's Chico,
Oh,
the champion chicken that got discarded on the from the cockfights, which is actually true. We ended up with a chicken and various assorted animals there, and so that's how those books started.
those are wonderful. So they been reprinted? I mean, I saw this and I wanted to share this with our folks for the Mo'opuna for the grandkids. This is an Etsy shop. Is this still up? And this is current? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah,
Cool.
and they can go to Amazon and get those three have been reprinted, and we'll probably by the
Beautiful.
end of this year have the rest of the series reprinted and maybe some new adventures. So that's one of the
Absolutely.
things. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man, they were wonderful, wonderful, and
Thank you.
enjoyed them so much. Um, here's let me see here. There's Boyson jumping in. Boyson says you do amazing community work, Diana. Thank you for your contributions in addition to your beautiful art. Mahalo for loving and malamaing. Hey, you just made a good word, bro. Malamaing, the Aina and
Malama Ing.
Malamaing, the Aina and the animals, taking care of the Aina and taking care of the animals. I love it. I love it. Um,
Thank you, Steve.
yeah. And let me see. Here's another Islander as well. Um, no matter how old Keone gets, he'll still be young. Yes, he'll still be. You're
Yeah,
right, Bobby.
there you go.
Reminds you of that Rod Stewart song, right? Forever Young, huh?
Forever young. Right, exactly. Yeah.
Oh goodness! All right, a lot of our friends are jumping in, and you know what? They're talking with each other, welcoming each other, like we all in the Ohana over here. Um, so I wanted to share some of the wonderful pictures, and one of my favorite is this one, the Lay Maker. And I know you're often asked the inspiration for that and stories behind that. Anything to share? It's so serene and so peaceful. It's just the colors are amazing. Talk to us about inspiration and what happens here.
Well, all of the women that I paint are real. They all start out as real people, and I get an idea or I see something and I say, "Can I take your picture?" And then I work from photographs later, or and then kind of the idea comes together in my head. So they start out real. And this is a young girl, and almost all the women I paint are a mix. They're all Hapa Haole. Like Gordon is Keone's cousin. Gordon, my husband, is Chinese, so my girls are Hapa Haole as well. So they're all kind of the mix, which I think is just so um, I don't know. It's I find it just mysterious and wonderful, and a lot prettier than some old white person here with all this blue white skin that looked like we crawled out from under a rock. But anyway, sorry guys, I always hated being old, with blue white, Anyway, so that's where they all come from. So I take pictures and then I paint it later. But always when I was here in Waikiki, when I got here in '66, I came after a year at BYU, which I hated. And I remember being in Waikiki, and they still had lei sellers all over on lahala mats on the pavement, stringing leis. And I was always just fascinated by the colorful hanging leis in the background. And so that's one of the things I've painted a lot of is different forms of lei sellers, stringing with leis in the background. And I just love all the variety of flowers that when you have an array of hanging plumeria and carnation and puakinikini, all the different leis in the background. That's one of the things I love to paint.
Here's Nancy. He says, "Us blue and white people glow in the dark."
Yes, that's right. Very cool. That's right. Absolutely. I know. Ugh.
Oh, here's Kevin Wiedemeyer, another buddy of mine from the islands, lives in San Diego. He says, "I grew up on
Oh,
her art. My mom was one of those who cut up the calendar and framed them and hung them all around the house." Ah,
well,
yeah.
I did a calendar this year, and people said, "Oh, thank goodness," because we couldn't get any. We couldn't find your prints to frame. So the calendar is like 14 images. For what, 8.99 or 7.99. It's the cheapest thing. So it's a real smart thing to do to cut up all the things, and they fit into standard 8.5 by 11 frames. So everybody bought calendars instead of the expensive prints. We all in the islands. Everybody bought the calendars so we could put them on the wall. I did too. So
And, and
anyway,
just a note, Kevin Wiedemeyer is a dear friend of mine. He comes from the Wiedemeyer family, famous in Hawaii, football players doing art time as well. The Wiedemeyers from Punahou,
the
and
Herman,
yeah, yes, that's it. That's his uncle and
Yeah.
all of that. Yeah,
Good. Oh,
so
nice.
pretty amazing. Um, and Keone says, "Tell them about Auntie Alice. I have
Oh,
that print hanging in my
yes.
living room." Thank you, Keone.
Okay, yes. Auntie Alice was my husband's dad's aunt, and his father's sister, and Alice Young. And she was very independent, but she never married because she took care of her parents, from my understanding. And as she got older, her legs got really stiff from arthritis, and she couldn't like walk or bend them very well. So when my girls were little, we used to take her shopping down to Chinatown on King Street there, and we'd go shopping in my truck. And so that was, and we got to know Auntie Alice pretty well. But then she told me all about her. She had a soda fountain in Kaneohe, and it was it had saimin and oxtail soup and stuff. And she would always say, but it was only fountain service, only fountain service. So I did a painting once and put on the menu the things that she said she had served in there. And the young boy and the girl in there are my husband and his younger sister Cheryl. So
Ah.
that was in that painting. Yeah, so that's old Aunt Alice's soda shop.
Ah, pretty amazing, pretty amazing. Here's C Honda. C said, "Do you have a color tint theme for each artwork, like pinks and purples? And is there
No,
favor at all?"
nope. I just paint. I don't. I never had any lessons or training, so I just picked this all up, and so I don't actually know the rules. And by the time someone said, you ought to take some lessons so you know how to do this, and I thought, you know what? But then I would end up changing it, and it would be, kind of mucka mucka, and then nobody would buy the stuff. So I just thought, no, it's good enough. So I don't do anything. I just paint. I mean, and
Uh-huh.
that's hard to explain sometimes, but it just happens, and I don't know why.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Um, Beautiful. And I had, and I'm looking for it. I can't find it, and the mini hoonies must have stolen it because I had that um, picture of the keiki sitting at the counter and in that little restaurant or that little snack bar.
Alice
And
Malta. Let me see if I got a
yeah, yeah,
calendar
yeah,
here
yeah,
with that.
yeah. Oh
I don't
my,
know.
I
I
was
might have.
just
Let me see if I've got. I don't know if I put it in this year. I'll take a look. If you forgive me for being
yeah, no, not at all, not at all.
yeah.
Um,
This is on the fly, right?
Yeah. In fact, Kevin Wiedemeyer says, "I'm getting one. Where can I find a calendar?" So I guess you could.
Well, the calendar will be out. I don't know, sometime in the fall. I don't have it in the calendar this year. You know what? I'll put it
Okay.
in next year's calendar. I
Yeah.
will. Yeah, I'm looking. I thought I did, but I didn't. But next year it'll be in the calendar.
Okay.
If you check around September, the calendars will be out, and they're pretty cheap. They're like 8.99, 9.99, and
Hmm.
and I'll sign up for you and send it to you. So we keep everything really low cost.
Beautiful. 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 Oh my goodness. That's wonderful. Another one of my fave is the one that is is that mango? I was looking for pickle mangoes.
Pickle mango. Yeah, that
Ooh.
was a girl was sitting there on the sidewalk selling pickle mango, and I thought it was she. she was just so gorgeous, but also the stack of mangoes were really appealing, the jarred pickled mangoes. So I took a picture, and it was several years before I figured out how I wanted to paint it. But I just love that red and the of the pickled mango. So
Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. Um, and again, just those eyes and the whole vibe that comes off of these paintings of these Vahini is just it's mesmerizing. It's amazing. Keone says Auntie
say,
Alice was my aunt. She was the matriarch of the Young family in Kaneohe. She had a gas station. I think the first one in Kailua, Kaneohe. Auntie
yeah, she
Alice.
was a real businesswoman. Yeah,
Uh huh.
she was tough.
Uh huh. Um, and you have folks already. Nancy Nancy Lou says, "I just Google her name. I'm looking at all of her art right now. You got all this. You're going to have a lot of traffic on the site here. Folks are checking it out."
I
Albella
see
says,
Nancy's got a picture of the cats in her
"Yeah."
thing. Okay, yeah.
Bella says, I just paint. What a lovely creative process. No wonder your work is so heartfelt. It shows.
Thank
It
you.
really shows. It really, really shows. And they're questioning, can I buy the calendars? And yes, you can go to the site. And sure. Boyson says, I miss the old soda fountains like Yamada's soda fountain that used to be next to Haleiwa Ruth
Yeah,
Rankin Element. Oh, I remember Yamada's. Oh, goodness.
yeah,
Yep,
that's
yep,
right.
yep.
And
And
that
right,
was good food.
oh, and then then he also had right across the street was Chun's Market. Where we go and get goodies over there and by the fire station. Oh my goodness! Well, we've come about halfway through, and we're going to take a little pause there for the cause, if you will. Thank you, everybody, so much for joining our little virtual paina, a little party here on the Aloha Friday show with the lovely Diana Hansen-Young. So nice to have you come join us.
Thank
We'll
you.
we'll be right back with more
I'll
after.
stick around.
You stick around, please. No go, no
I'll stick
please.
around. Yeah.
Here we go. Oh, so nice. So nahi nahi. That was
Thank
beautiful
you.
production. Really, really nice. Love it, love it. And I caught some popoki over there in that in your painting over there with the keiki. That's really cool. That's cool. Let me
Thanks.
see. Our friends have been busy over here. Abella says, I love the two dolphins you found that you painted years ago and they
Oh,
surfaced one day. They're lovely.
yeah, thank you. That was kind of funny because I said someone said you did dolphins. I said I never did dolphins. And then I was going through a pile of stuff and there's a picture of a heart with two dolphins with Miley lace and I don't even remember. And then one of my friends said, "Oh, you did that for my wedding." And I said, "Oh, no," because I had forgotten. So yes, there were dolphins. Yes, I admit I did the dolphin painting. Yes.
It was you.
It was me.
It
Didn't
was
show up at
you.
my door. Yeah, they didn't come over my fence though. I don't have to take care of them, thank goodness. Yep.
Kevin Wiedemeyer says, I just love hearing the background of the paintings from the artist. Yes, love the mo'olelo, the stories that inspired, those paintings. And you must get asked that quite often. And maybe you get kind of, oh, no, they're going to ask me about it. But hope you don't mind telling the stories because they're very powerful. Here's Kay Bennett. She says, I love how your artwork are sweet and innocent, but deep and powerful. Yeah,
Well, thank you,
really
Kay.
does. Yeah, it really does.
Yeah, the last image that you showed up there just before you came back live was of a little girl and a pit bull. And there are stories that go with all of this, but the little girl is my youngest daughter, Tekla, and she works for the Department of Justice in DC here. And well,
Ah,
she has two daughters, so that's where I do daycare in DC here. And my other daughter is a young adult writer for HarperCollins, and she's on her seventh book now, I think, and she lives in Brooklyn. Yeah, that's the writer daughter right there, and this is us in a lion camp in Drankenstein, South Africa.
wow.
My second daughter in DC married a man from South Africa, so we were down there for her wedding. We went to stay overnight at this lion camp, and it was actually quite wonderful. But this daughter in the picture is a young adult writer, and she lives in Brooklyn, and her name is Heidi Heilig. But she has three sons, so I've got three grandsons there and two granddaughters. But that one picture was my granddaughter here in DC. I mean, my daughter in DC when she was a little girl. The neighbor's pit bull from next door, this vicious, quote, vicious mutt, crawled under the fence and I heard a lot of barking and I ran outside in the yard and there she was. And she had her finger pointed and she had a lettuce sandwich, which was her favorite. Who knows why? But she had told the dog, "Sit, you stupid mutt." And this
Oh,
dog just sat and cowered in front of this girl. And so she's an environmental lawyer for DOJ. So she had
oh,
her calling was etched in that lettuce sandwich painting of the pit bull from
oh.
many, many years ago. Yeah. So,
There's C. Honda. She says, cakey or adult, they are beautiful. I agree.
well,
I
thank you.
totally agree. Oh my goodness. Now I want to segue a little bit because you're wonderful at children's books. A Mango Hill series, just delightful. Your artwork, your painting, so introspective and so just delicious. We say so ono. You look at it, it's ono when you look at it because it just hits with all the senses over here. But now, at some point, some health issues with a little bit of arthritis with the paint and kind of some concerns, and you kind of switched a little bit into uh, playwriting, script writing. At some point, you cross paths with the legendary Eartha Kitt. Do tell, do tell.
Well, that's true. Sometimes, I mean, if you listen to your body, it will tell you what you should be doing. That's what I've always kind of believed. And my hands got a little stiff from doing an awful lot of painting. And so when my girls came back east to go to school, I went and I went to did what I wanted, a lifelong dream of learning to write musical theater. And
Ah,
so I'm a writer. I write lots of murder mysteries and stuff like that. And one of the goals in the next 10 years of my life, should I live that long, knock on wood, is to actually get back and do some real serious murder writing. But
ooh.
anyway, this was musical theater. I know, and so I enrolled and was accepted into the graduate school musical theater program at New York University. So which I went to for 2 years. And I met a young man. We had different collaborators, Brian Feinstein, and he and I worked on a thesis musical, which later became Mimi Le Duck. And they picked it up for the Fringe Festival, and it was produced there. And then it went on to run for 56 performances off Broadway, and we got slammed by the Times and the press. But
Oh,
that's what happens. And but we had some really nice songs, and Eartha starred in it, and she played an old chanteuse from Paris in a very strange little apartment building where every floor had a different and stranger tenant. And a young girl from Idaho, a young Mormon woman, visits Paris and takes up residence on the room at the top floor of this little place. Well, Madame Valet was Eartha's part, and there she is pictured with Tom Aldridge, another old war veteran. But she did a song. We wrote a song for her, and it was called "Everything Changes," and she sang it. And I have 3 songs from that show, which we taped with the cast album before, but you're getting a chance to hear it. Nobody has it. It's not published anywhere. It's not available anywhere except here
ooh.
now on your show.
Let's listen to Eartha Kitt for a moment here.
Sure.
I stared at strangers with longing in my eyes. One time at Montmartre, I drank gin with Sartre. We made love in daylight. We had nothing to hide. Now Ernest and Truman and Henry and Ezra. Now no one is left. They grow older, then they die.
Oh my goodness. That iconic voice of Eartha Kitt. Oh my goodness. And
It
so
was wonderful.
my friends on the Aloha Friday show, as Diana has shared earlier, this comes out of her private archives. It is no place on the planet can you hear it except if Diana plays it from her home or right here on the Aloha Friday show. This is the first. Thank you, Diana, for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Goodness.
There's a couple of sort of bootleg copies where people went to the performance and taped it from their seat, I think, that are partially taped, floating around on YouTube, but that we have never published it or done anything with this.
Uh,
We have 3 songs of hers, but we don't know what to do yet. So I guess we're waiting for inspiration or till we meet Eartha up yonder and she yells and says, "Why didn't you do this or do that?" So that'll be the day too. Who knows?
ah, how sweet.
That was a fun time.
But everything changes.
Everything changes. Wow.
Yep, even me.
So, Eartha Kitt and singing Everything Changes. And this is lyrics by Diana Hansen-Young, music by Brian Feinstein. Feinstein.
Right.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Mimi Le Duck, off-Broadway music production. And wow. Okay, so what's next for Diana Hansen-Young? What mischief are you still up to now? We know something's always percolating there, Diana. It's always happening.
Well, I'm 78, but hopefully I've got 10 good years before I crumble into dust or whatever else is going to happen. And maybe the chickens will get me in the backyard, who knows? I'm once we get through the era that we are in, and I no longer have to do childcare, so my daughter doesn't have to be in the office every day, and the girls at school, then I'm going to go back to writing and finishing up a lot of the murder mysteries that I've been working on. That's a luxury. You can spend 2 years working on a short story and get it published, but what that means is you get $25. So it's a love occupation, being a writer of mysteries. So hopefully I'll be able to finish those up before I die, and I'll get those stories down on paper.
Well, just stop it. Just stop it. I want to stop right there, young lady. You and I and Keone and There's some folks right here on our Aloha Friday podcast. We're all in the same chicken coop, okay? We're all in the
Okay.
same chicken coop.
We're all going to
Right?
live forever. We'll meet again in 30 years and do this again. Right.
So stop talking about crumbling and death and all of that, okay? We may be circling the drain, but we're just circling. We're
We're,
still.
that's just yet. Right, right, right. Yep, yep. That's right.
I think there's still a lot more surprises coming from you. Nancy says, "Ooh, I love murder mysteries too." Ooh, um, and Boyson says, "I just purchased your calendar. Yay!"
Oh, then when I get off the show, I'm going to have to go to the shop and fill that order, which means I've got a calendar out here and sign it and mail it off tomorrow. So there you go.
Yeah. He
It's
goes.
all homegrown. Yeah,
He goes. Heck yeah, we're all makuli, but we're still strong. You tell him,
still
Boyson.
strong. That's right. Yep.
None of this we're gonna be crumbling, man. We're all over here. Whoa, goodness. Let me see. Oh, the comments are flying. I just love it. Atike says, so yours was the premise for only murders in the building. Ooh. Um, th- have you seen that with
No, I didn't do that one. That was somebody else, but it's a brilliant premise.
It's a great premise, huh?
Yeah, it
And
is.
and
Yeah,
it seems to me, you in Washington D.C., there's a lot of things that are a foot and a leg
that's right.
and a finger.
Yep,
So
right.
so a lot of mysterious things that you could write about
That's right.
with an island flair. Perhaps there's an island connection there as well. Oh goodness.
The mystery that I'm working on, the book I'm trying to get finished, is about a young policeman in 1898 in August, the day of the overthrow, or the day of the running down of the American flag in front of Iolani Palace. And the
Okay.
Queen calls the young man and says, "Get that flag," because the Governor Dole was proposing, and this is the truth, to cut it up into small pieces and give it out as souvenirs when they took the Hawaiian flag down on August 14th, I think, 1898. So he tells him, "Get the flag and we'll take it up and put it with the ancestors up on the Eva Plain." So this young policeman gets it, and then the game is afoot. There's a murder, there's a variety of things, but it's set in territory in 18, not, it was not territory,
Ooh.
though, 1898. Yeah. And so I want to finish that. I did the one short story of that, and that was published, but that was published 25 years ago. And I wanted to finish that story into a book, and I finally got it done. But then I was going to get it finalized this spring, but then we have the edict that everybody be back in the office. So it's going to be delayed a few months, but they'll tackle it again in September.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, Keone, you should play the part of the detective.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Bella says you have a special aloha spirit. May you live to share many more years of your gifted talents. Ah,
Oh, thank
we
you. That's very sweet.
we agree. We definitely agree with that. And TK says we are vintage, non-disposable, always repairable.
Right, always repairable. That's right. Scotch tape and a little baling twine, and you can make even any old Chevy run, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Don't
yeah,
forget,
the one thing
don't forget duct tape, Diana. Duct tape.
duct tape and baling twine. Right, right. The one thing that was interesting when I came to the islands, in '66, I remember getting off that plane, and the air smelled so different than Bellingham, Washington, and it was so fresh and so wonderful, and the island seemed to be alive, and I felt like I had come home for some reason. I don't ever remember feeling that way in any other place, and it was kind of like I belonged there, and I can't explain it. And um, it sounds, kind of like I don't know, presumptive of an old white haole woman, but it did feel that way in '66, and I've never forgotten that feeling. And so I I I always am surprised when I come to the mainland, or when sometimes I'm back in Hawaii for a couple of weeks, and I'll catch a glimpse of myself in a mirror or something, And I'm surprised that I'm an old white woman. I don't know what the feeling is. You think, oh, that's me? Oh no, what happened? And it just and there you are, But if you feel like you come home and you belong somewhere, I'm not sure that it matters uh, what you are. If you belong there, you belong there. And even if you have to leave, and now I'm on the East Coast because that's where the grandkids are, and I can't live 12 hours away from the grandkids. Your heart, still is there, and it just will be. So, anyway,
And there's Laura. Hi, Laura. Thank you. Thanks for joining us. She says, I know the feeling. Absolutely. Laura
there you
says
go.
that.
Yeah,
Yes, she knows the feeling. Nancy says, I know exactly what you mean. When they opened the door of the plane on
yeah,
my first trip, I'll never forget the air hitting me in
yep.
the face.
That's
Um,
absolutely right.
and
Yeah,
Nancy says, I'm hooked. She was hooked.
yeah.
Kay says, it happened to me too. It's like a past life rediscovered. Ooh, nicely put.
Yeah.
Nicely put.
Whatever is going on, it's something, and you feel like you've come home, and I can't explain it any other way.
Yeah.
So
Kevin says the island is alive, the mana of the Aina. Oh my goodness. I'm getting chicken
yeah.
skin right there. So true. It's so true. Here's Keone. We might have started something here. Keone says, I'd love to. We're talking about playing the detective. He
Oh,
says, he says, I play a detective in the new Jessica Biel drama, The Better Sister, on primetime in May. Oh, so
wow.
we'll look for Keone in May for The Better Sister with Jessica
I'm
Biel.
gonna have to make sure to watch that. The Better Sister. I'm gonna write that down.
Yes. Let's make a note of that for the Ohana here
Yeah.
to check that out. To check that out. Yeah. Oh, Carly's jumped in. Carly and Laura both here. Aloha, Diana and Kamaka. Hi, Carly. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining us. Oh my goodness, where did the time go? We're uh, when we
Oh,
party.
wow.
Yeah, when the party starts, we just voila out. We talk story, and all of a sudden, boom, it's all gone. Um, and so the folks are they're greeting one another. It's lovely. Our Ohana, they're so beautiful here. They greet one another and they're talking story as we're going, and it's wonderful. Diana, thank you so much for joining us, accepting our invitation to be on our little virtual paina over here, our little Aloha Friday show. Um,
Thank you for having me. This
Good
is wonderful.
fun. Good
What a nice,
fun.
what a nice time.
Ah, Kay says, Diana, mahalo for sharing. Yes, 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 yes. What great stories. And we want to share with our friends before we leave. And this is something that we've been really looking forward to it as well. And next week on the Aloha Friday show is Angela Perez Baracchio Gray. She was the first Asian American of Filipino descent to be crowned Miss America. She's from a
Wow.
mother of five. She's an author, a school principal in California. She's also a breast cancer survivor. She's going to be with us next week, Friday, at a special time. It's going to be at 1 p.m. Pacific time here in California. And so that's next week, Friday, March 28th, at a special time, 1 hour later than our usual noon. Join us for Angela Perez Baracchio Gray. She's a wonderful friend. Her husband, Teeny Gray, is also part of our Ohana here in Southern California, the Gray family. So join us next week, Friday at 1 p.m. for Angela Perez Baracchio Gray, Miss Hawaii. And also, we're going to talk about education. She's a school principal here. And also, she's a breast cancer survivor. We'll be talking about that as well. Going to have a wonderful conversation, aloha conversation as well. Here's Thyra. She says, Diana, mahalo for sharing your wonderful stories today. You certainly have that aloha spirit. Ah, that's so nice,
Thank you for
Thyra.
having me. It's great. Thank you so much for
Ah.
having me.
Boysan says, Mahalo, Diana. You keep creating. Live strong, live aloha. Yeah, yes.
Thank you.
Everybody's sharing their aloha over here. And Nancy Thank you, Diana, for taking care of the feral popoki. We need more people like you. I love your beautiful art. Such talent. Oh my goodness.
Thank you, Nancy. Thank
So
you.
sweet. So sweet. And everyone's jumping on just to say, if I missed your comments, e kalamai, excuse me. Um, Thank you so much for our Ohana jumping in today and being part of our conversation. Such a wonderful, wonderful group we do have here. We have so
You
much to be
do.
grateful for. Yes, a great crew over here.
You really
Thank,
do.
I
Yeah,
know they are, right? Diana, come back anytime. The door to our
I
hale
will.
is open. The Many are always there for you, inviting you back. Those guys up there in the trees in the back there. Um, and we look forward to talking to you. Hang on, Diana, and we'll say
Thank you,
aloha.
Kamaka.
We'll
Aloha
say
to you
aloha
too.
to our gang, and hang on, Diana. We'll be right with you. Aloha, everybody.
Thank you.